me.
Well, hello guys and what's up? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm doing another video where I'm going to be reacting to a new video on Jubilee called One Conservative versus 25 LGBTQ plus activists. So this video features Michael Knowles and who is surrounded by 25 LGBTQ plus activists. So let's watch. It's gonna be a good video, so stay tuned.
Wow.
Nice to meet you,
How
Michael.
are you, sir? Nice to see you.
I am doing well. So your claim, what's the underlying philosophy of your claim?
Well, I guess the underlying historical part of my claim is that everyone for all of history everywhere until, and I'm being generous, 2001, agreed with my view that there's no such thing as same-sex marriage. So it seems to me that marriage intrinsically requires sexual difference. And furthermore, I think that any claim that marriage could be redefined to include same-sex marriage would render the term marriage incomprehensible.
Would you say that this is based off of natural law and how Thomas Aquinas defines natural law?
There's a good natural law argument for it, but I think it's based on more than that.
It's more than that.
Based on anthropology.
Well, then,
Okay, so he says based on anthropology. His claims are based on anthropology. So let's just go over. Let's define marriage first. Marriage is a union between two people in general. It can be between two or more people, or three or four, polygamy, all of that stuff. But it's generally between two people. So he says based on anthropological records. So I think in anthropology there were records shown. For example, in the Roman Empire, the Roman Emperor Nero had married two men in his lifetime. So yeah. So let's just go what he's trying to say.
would you say that marriage is a set of legal rights or is it a social role?
I think marriage is an institution. I think it's the fundamental political institution. I think, getting back to classical philosophy,
of course,
that man is fundamentally a social animal. So, I think at the bedrock of politics is the unit of the family, and, of course, intrinsic to the family is marriage.
But all of those, especially with natural law, is just an assertion without evidence to back that claim, in that we see marriage over time in various cultures has been different things.
In which cultures would you say you see same-sex marriage?
I did not say same-sex marriage particularly, but the role of it when it comes to family, when it comes to the conditions. Because would you also say that if somebody...
Again, in the Roman Empire, Nero, the emperor of Rome, the Roman emperor had married two men. Record shows that he had married two men, Pythagoras and Sporus. So yeah.
You said you argued from an anthropology? That's like your basis of...
Yeah, men and women are different, and marriage involves one of each. Yeah.
What specific culture are you referring to? Because we have so many cultures that have communal relationships in which people are raised. When you said in the act of procreation, have you ever heard of it takes a village to raise kids? That's not something that's just a saying.
No, I didn't say
that happens literally in specific cultures.
No, but when I say procreation, that's the act of creating the child. And usually there aren't 3 or 4 people involved in that. It's usually 2 people.
Yeah, but even those people that do create the child oftentimes were referred to as different genders depending on the culture that it is that you're observing.
Which cultures are you referring to?
We can talk about the Mayans.
Okay, he said the Mayans. I don't know if the Mayans, but I said in the Roman Empire, the Roman Emperor Nero had married 2 men, Sporus and Pythagoras. So that's my take in anthropology.
History and time and space. I say, okay, maybe that's possible. How? Tell me, point to the examples. And you said, well, the Mayans. And I said, okay, well, what did the Mayans think about marriage? And you don't have an answer. And none of these people have answers because everyone has... Do you have an answer?
People can look up right now. If you're right near a Google, yeah, exactly. Michael's trying to hone me down on trivia night right now.
No, I'm just
right
asking
now,
you to
we're
explain.
Trying to talk about specifically our examples.
I'm asking you to explain the point that you brought up. And so what people usually do is they say, well, look, I'm sure that there were all different types of marriage throughout history all over the world. And what I'm telling you is, there actually hasn't been.
So you're telling me that a Catholic priest are the people who created like a certain ceremony within the Mayan culture? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that if you want to listen, I'm happy to tell you exactly my point.
I'm listening. Ears are open, Michael.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mindy.
For all of history, everywhere in the world, until roughly 2001 in the Netherlands, every single culture, every polity has believed that marriage is the union of a man and a woman, ordered toward the procreation of children. And that's what it has always been.
You're saying that's the specific objective of what marriage is?
Because that's what
for thousands of years, marriage has been used for property transfer. That's what marriage is.
Okay, so marriage was also used as a religious and cultural obligation, property and inheritance, political alliances, and social status. So marriage was used to offer all of these things. So there could be polygamy, which is marriage between more than two people. It could be up to 4. So I don't understand that. I don't understand, Michael.
It's also used for the mutual support of the spouses, but it is in principle ordered toward the procreation of children. That's what distinguishes it from other kinds of relationships.
So he says that marriage is for the order of procreation. There are heterosexual couples that can't make children, that are infertile. So I don't understand you, Michael. So yeah. Anyways, let's go to the next prompt because, girl, this is too much.
This claim is that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life entirely.
Hi.
Hello.
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
Blossom Powerhouse, lovely to meet you.
Yes. Go ahead. I want to know your ideology around transgenderism, something that doesn't exist. It just sounds more like conservative propaganda. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, I think for all of history everywhere, people have understood the human person to have something to do with his body. So like your body has something to do with who you are. Now there is an alternative view, which is called Gnosticism. It's a view that our bodies don't really have anything to do with who we are, that the body is maybe even evil, and that our true selves have no connection to our bodies. And I see in the transgender ideology a kind of Gnosticism that says that you could look like a man, you could have a man's genetics, you could have a man's genitals, you could have a man's everything. But if you feel on some deep level that you're really a woman, then you are really a woman. And I don't think that's true. And I think that the social effects of that are really bad because it leads to the depriving women of their legitimate rights. In some cases, it leads to rapes, notably in the last few years. And it also leads to women losing their sports competitions and their scholarships, and it's just disordered and false. And it also leads to more people adopting this identity, which leads to very high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. So it's bad for everyone, and it's not grounded in reality.
Oh, I don't even think you understand what you say sometimes. I don't think you even understand what you say, because when we talk about these rape cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear where it's coming from.
No, that's not true. In 2021,
excuse me, do not interrupt a black trans woman.
I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
No, thank you.
Here's
the thing about me as a black trans woman. I am not a threat to cis women, and I think it is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponizing facts?
Transgenderism does not exist. We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population, and there is a lot of power in the trans identity because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really exist.
I'm not spewing anything. I'm just stating facts plainly.
I have lived experience. You don't, and you never will. But I do have a question.
So, gender dysphoria is a classified. Let's first describe our material and give them a definition. What is gender dysphoria? Gender dysphoria is a classified mental illness. Is it in a DSM-5? It is a clinical term that describes the distress of a person that experiences a mismatch between their gender identity and the sex assigned at birth. So the fact that you are saying that they should be eradicated and taken out from the root, that is canceling a whole group of people that they should get treatment. And that is, I'm not saying that children should get these kind of treatments, because no, children can get those kind of treatments, but I'm saying that people that suffer from that should get the proper therapy, the treatment with the proper kind of therapy. So yeah, that's my point on this. So let's go to the next prompt.
Good, I'm Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, Michael.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of define terms a little bit. You mentioned social contagion. Contagion how?
Meaning, well, going back, there's a good study by Dr. Lisa Littman that showed, this was back in 2018, that peer influence is one of the great drivers of transgender identity. So that's how it's a social contagion. People look around at their peers and they see them identifying as LGBTQ, and that makes them much more likely to identify that way themselves.
Okay, so by that definition, because I'm thinking contagion makes it sound like it's a disease, right?
Yeah, it's
like
not a disease,
COVID.
but it's not good. It leads to lots of bad health outcomes
There we
for
go.
them.
So you're saying bad. And I think you mentioned earlier, you said, oh, kids are more likely to attempt suicide if they come out as trans, right?
Anyone, not just kids, anyone who identifies as transgender is significantly more likely to be suicidal. Orders of magnitude more likely to be suicidal.
Let me focus on where my expertise is. I'm a therapist. And the thing is, when kids and adults get mental health care, they're less likely to attempt suicide. Furthermore, if kids have to hide their identity because of people that are ultra conservative and try and repress someone's sexuality and or identity, those kids and adults are more likely to attempt suicide.
That is not backed up by the scientific literature, I'm afraid.
What scientific literature are you talking about? There is lots of scientific literature.
I'm happy to answer that question. Do you want me to answer your question?
Well,
you asked me what scientific literature I'm talking about. I'm happy to answer that question, but maybe you don't want me to.
Well, it's not because of that only. It's because you are going to pick stats that support your point of view. We all know that data can be put
What if
on
I
both
picked
sides.
What if I picked the largest data set on transgender outcomes ever compiled?
No,
would that be helpful?
I want to hear more about how you are actually thinking about this.
Well, I'm thinking about this based on the science that you won't let me talk about.
Well, no,
because you know it undercuts your argument.
No, I think that where I'm getting at is that you're thinking about how you view personally because of your transphobic and homophobic views of yourself.
Hold on, where did that come from? I'm just trying to tell you what the science says, and you're trying to just call me transphobic and this phobic. I don't know. I'm happy to give you. I'm happy to give you an answer.
You are though.
No,
okay,
I don't have an irrational fear of an imaginary identity.
It's so.
Girl. So saying that LGBTQ plus people is a social contagion is like saying religion is a social contagion. Look, we all live in groups. We are made to live in groups, so automatically we want to be included in that group. But let me tell you something. This need to be included in this group, in a particular group that we grew up in, it creates insecurities for some people. So what's most important is telling your child that, hey, you are loved and you're gonna be included. Even if you weren't included here, you're gonna be included there. So that's my take. That's my take on all of the prompts. What I'm trying to say is, people in this day and age are trying to make their best at life, and people have different belief systems, different everything. So I'll try to be mindful, try to be open, try to be sensible, try to have some sense, try to have some logic, we all come at different shapes and sizes. So it's important to accept, and don't forget to love yourself. So that was me, and I'm gonna leave y'all. Bye.